Yes, people. What's going on? Welcome back to United View. And the first thing I saw from Aaron is remember to turn the mic on, Flex. Well, guess what? I don't need to remember to turn the mic on because all those things are set already. Because Owen, the guru, is back in the hot seat. Yeah, you did hear about that.
I did. I heard about that. I was on vacation. I was on holiday. I don't know if you've seen this. Yeah, look at.
I wasn't going to mention it. You do look a bit. I don't know if it's a sunbed or actually, real life sun.
Real life sun.
Anyway, I mean,
went out. Yeah. Went outside.
You didn't want to put any. Didn't no factor 50 or.
Who did?
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
that's with the protection.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay, that's with the right.
I thought with the conversations we've been having recently here on the channel, I thought, you know what, I need to go back to my roots, Flex. I need to go back to my roots.
Where did you go?
Kingston. Went back to my hometown, Kingston.
Oh, you went back there, yeah?
Yeah.
How's the flight? How long was it?
Long. Yeah.
It's long. Yeah, but how many hours was it roughly?
Rastafari.
About that.
About Rastafari. It was about Rastafari hours.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Did you have to take a connecting flight to get to, or did you go direct? Which one did you?
You know what I mean? I was having a bit too many Ray nephews. So I couldn't. So I don't really.
You don't know if you got off the whole plane and had to.
I don't really. You know what it's like when you go home, mate. So it's just.
But you can't remember whether you went direct to home or you had to.
Yeah. All I remember is
Rastafari, lick him up, Rastafari, lick him up.
That's all I remember, mate. That's all I remember the last few days. So.
Did you fly direct? Did you fly into Kingston or did you fly into Mobay? Where did you? Or did you fly into the grill? Where did you fly into?
Didn't fly into direct. Don't do that.
Okay. But you don't know what airport? No, you don't know what airport you went into?
No. Well, Sunstroke. Don't remember a lot. So
shout out to Ajululu. Yeah, currently listening to Protege, so feeling the island vibes. Man, I've been up in the hills, Yeah. Like either way, no time away. Steam up 3 times a day. In my domain. Man, I've been up in the hills, Hey, listen. Shout out any Protege fans. Yeah. Big 45, bust it up in it. Yeah. Hey, listen.
Yeah.
You listen to a bit of Protege?
Only nothing but last few days, mate. So, Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Well, that's fine. Yeah, Court Star. Did you fly direct to Portmore or did you fly direct to Ocho Rios or
both, mate? Whole country.
You went everywhere. Okay,
everywhere.
That's fine. Everywhere. Yeah. Well, it's good to have you back from Jamaica. Anyway, it's good.
Thanks, mate.
The sun and you enjoyed it. You had some nice food out there. Listened to some nice music. So you said you had some rare nephews as well. So
yeah.
That's good, man. That's what we want to hear. Yeah. Chris C says, if you haven't watched the Flex and KG show from yesterday, then do yourself a favor. Good vibes yesterday.
I heard about it. I heard about it. I've heard, there's been obviously. I've also heard some stuff about obviously because we're going to talk about Bruno Fernandes this morning.
Yeah.
There might have been some flip-flopping over the last sort of few days or so.
Yeah,
a lot. Heard about
a lot.
Monday, sort of putting down. It's not really a real story. Next day, might be a real story.
Absolutely.
When we can't sell Bruno, a couple of days later, maybe we have to think about selling Bruno.
Yeah. I think in true Fleck fashion, new evidence, to be fair, did really present itself in this case. In this case, new because and you know what? If you'd have been here, I do 100% know. You would have been in the same mindset because the first report that kind of came through had to translate it from Arabic, see what it was really saying. It was claiming some stuff, and you went, I don't know about that, mate. Saudi press just, don't know about that. Then the next day, mate, it started to get crazy yesterday with the likes of Chris Wheeler, Ben Jacobs, etc.
Well, just how bad was this yesterday? Because I'm not maybe sure that I've been told the full story because shows go, no, what are we doing here? No acknowledgement of what we witnessed yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I did say to you, there was a lot of dressing up. There was
just how bad did it get?
Well, I had on like traditional, clothing. The phobe. Well, I didn't. The phobe's in the wardrobe, but I had the head wrap and the headpiece on top. KG was dressed up in a puffer jacket like one of the locals.
He's talking about the game. He's talking about the game. He was not talking about.
Oh, right, the game. Oh, right. Oh, yeah, the game is up.
Game was mental, yeah. Game was crazy. Yeah. That's what I was going. What have you done, Flex? The fact that you were really talking about
nothing. It's the game, mate. It's the game.
Right.
It's the game. Yeah. It's a game.
Okay.
Before we get into this morning's show as well, because we do have a lot to talk about. We actually do have some serious stuff to talk about because there is more developing news on this. I will be live on FanFest straight after this at 10 a.m. for half an hour. Shout out to everyone who joined me on last week's show. It was good fun. Really enjoyed it. Kind of like an extension on top of this Bruno situation where you guys can get involved and also have the chance to win prizes because there are FanFest predictions going on where you can do match predictions and enter a vote for what you want the grand prizes to be. And also there are some polls that you can enter. And just by answering the polls of predictions of, will PSG go through, will we go through, etc., you can scan through, vote on the outcomes, and just for that, you get entered into different raffles as well. So make sure you check out that. Get over to FanFest. The link is pinned up there in the chat. I'll be on there straight after this on a solo where it's like an extension of this. Can have a little Q&A if you want, because I know there's going to be a lot of people here. There's a lot less people there as we're building that community over there in FanFest. So, your questions will get straight to me. I can answer some of them, etc. Kato says road to 300 plus likes as well, which we definitely are on the road to because we currently have 158 and nearly 700 people watching already. So let's push that. Let's push that. Right, Owen, Bruno Fernandes. He has rejected this offer because that was the thing me and KG were talking about yesterday in the Flex and KG show. Because this is something that's just been going on. We were saying, all this pretend, this is great. They've offered him a 3-year deal. It's unanswered right now. That was the last thing. But now there's reports saying it has been rejected.
Yeah, like I said, this is an interesting one because on Monday when the story first comes out, BS, it's not true. Then yesterday it turns out, no, it's very much true and there's a lot of money being thrown around. There's rumors about release clauses and all this kind of stuff. And we got a bit of a development last night coming from some Saudi sources, if you will. And the suggestion was that Bruno Fernandes' agents have initially rejected the offer from Al-Hilal, but promised, this is the interesting part, to sit down with the player and discuss his demands. Al-Hilal are making serious attempts to convince Bruno Fernandes. In continuance with that, Al-Hilal management is expected to hold a third meeting with Bruno Fernandes' agents despite the initial rejection. They want to discuss his demands, including salary, housing, and all contract terms, which kind of sounds a bit to me, Flex,
like going like, you what you want.
Name your price. Name your price effectively. And it was quite interesting yesterday to hear some of these sort of Saudi reports. And this is when Ben Jacobs really does enter the chat, because if it's Saudi, it's him. He knows.
Yeah.
He reports those stories about, the Saudi Pro League clubs that nobody cares about. When he'll go, so-and-so's been bought for this club in Saudi. You go, why? We don't care. But then when it comes to these kind of stories, we really do care. And it does seem a bit like, doesn't it? I think it might have been actually in the Ben Jacobs piece yesterday when he said that effectively they had the Saudi PIF had this huge amount of money sort of put to one side to get like a Mo Salah or something like that. And because, of course, Mo Salah's staying at Liverpool, they've now got this money that they've put to one side and go, right, let's go get someone. And one of the people they're looking to go get
is what is the side.
Exactly. And they're like, right, we'll go get Bruno Fernandes for that. And I think that whole release clause stuff, I think has been kind of like disputed now, going, that's probably bullshit. You know what I mean? It's like, because that 60 million thing, and United clearly want him to stay. But then when you just look at the numbers, he'd be earning, what did they say? It's like over 1.5 million pound a week. The amount of money they'd be offering Manchester United, British record transfer fee, which is past 115 million pounds. And I suppose if you are a good negotiator when it comes to that, which hopefully United would be in that situation, you go, right, let's get it really high. How badly do you really want him? And then it becomes a situation where it's like, I mean, it's tough for all parties to turn it down, isn't it, really? You know what I mean? If you're Bruno Fernandes, it's not a question of, I don't think it's a question of loyalty. I don't think his head's turned by money.
No,
but
then again, it is when it really comes down to it. If he wants to go there,
but then people are sort of saying this isn't like going from when you're on 300. This isn't like going from like 300 to like 400. Going 100 grand or more, and you get into like tax and all this kind of stuff. Going 300 to 1.5 million pound a week. I mean, again, like people are saying, that's generational wealth. I mean, it's insanity, isn't it? It's insanity. And then you get into the Man United perspective of it. Oh, we don't care how much you're getting paid. How much are we getting paid? And then we could name their price.
That's pretty much $5 million a month.
Yeah. Like, potentially tax-free as well, It's... And then you get into like, United. Imagine they go, look, we don't really want to get into this too much. 150 million quid. What can United do?
That's what I'm saying.
What can United do?
Owen, I'm so glad you're doing this because you are the calm one on this channel that kind of breaks it down. But I think there was 64% in the poll yesterday was like, if it's 100, I typed out 155 by accident, but I meant 115. If that happens, should United? I mean, 64% was like, absolutely. Because there is a point whereby you go, listen, I love Bruno. We're nothing without him, but the type of thing that can fund if they offered that type of stupid money. And of course, if Bruno came to us on top of that, more importantly, and said, I've won the Europa League. Listen, I was thinking I was going to stay, but I'm not going to turn that down. So I'm going to accept that.
And what if we do
you can't stand in this way.
You might be like, well, actually, you know what? I've won a European
probably the maximum I can do here.
Yeah, it might be the max I can do. Yeah.
And also, I was also, so Drosky says, if Bruno rejects this generational wealth, I don't want anyone questioning his loyalty. Absolutely. And Omar says, thank God Owen is back. Omar's been struggling with his meat and on the buttons. And Alternative Fact says, no Verts as replacement. Flex was getting giddy yesterday, thinking he was playing FIFA with all the imaginary signings. I was doing a madness. That's another thing I didn't tell you what was going on. So in order to convince KG, well, not convince him, but when you give KG hypotheticals, it's just good entertainment. So I was like, KG, if I told you with this Bruno money, 100 plus, so like 130s and that, 120s, whatever, forget Cunha. We're getting Cunha even with Bruno. So he's in.
Yeah.
If I told you, KG, if we sold Bruno and that meant we could get a light Gyökeres or Osimhen, Mbwems. I said like Mbrems. I said, fuck it. Market opportunity. Put Shirky in there as well. I said, KG, you want a new goalkeeper as well? Serbian brother. Add him in.
Yeah.
Add him in. He went, no, I have to. He said, I'd have to. I have to. Like, there's no...
And again, that's like just Bruno, let alone other things that could happen this summer. Let alone we're talking about, I don't know if Rashford's figured into that. I think Sancho is figured into that.
I know. And then I gassed, and that's it. Then I gassed him up even more. Sorry. So I did that one. So I said, 120 million just for Bruno. You can get them 4 players. And then I was like, and KG, that's not even including Champions League money, KG. That's another 100 million, KG. That's over 230 million we'd have on transfers. I said, KG, that's not even including the Rashford, Anthony, Sancho money, Malacia money. I goes, that's another 100 KG. I said, KG, we could have over 300 million to spend on transfers. We could do the whole team. And then, like they said, he malfunctioned. He went,
Well, like Compost says, the weakness, new toys. Yeah.
100%.
That
I use loads of buzzwords.
Yeah. War kitty. You know what I mean? You have to say that. And look, it's really difficult.
Oh, yes. Adam Warts. I added water in there as well. I said, do you want Adam Warts? Do you want to light Warts? What do you want?
And I think it's a good thing when people said, like, do we think that Ineos would use the money right? And there's concerns. And that is fair. It's not to say that just because we would get the money, that would be fixed. But I think it's also about where we find ourselves. We actively talk about, almost on a daily basis, about rebuild, players in, moving players out, and how difficult it is to move some players on and wages. And it's not to say that this would be a quick fix, because it wouldn't. But still, you just go... my worry is it's just going to get to a stage where almost for all parties, it's impossible to turn down. Like it, and I think that's what United will be negotiating, because as all of the reports came out yesterday, and this has happened quite a bit over the last few days, hasn't it? With the Luis Campos stuff, when you're getting this stuff like this is happening, and then 30 minutes later, no, it's not happening. With the Bruno stuff, yesterday, this whole like the Saudi outlets going, or Saudi reporters and journalists and what have you, Saudi sources going, look, no, this is real. The money's real. They're talking, blah, blah, blah. Real, very quickly, 30 minutes later, you get all of the domestic journalists and Chris Wheeler, like you said, Nathan Salt from the Mail, all going, well, yeah, it's real. It's real. But, United don't want to sell him. They don't want to sell him. They consider him to be a few players that are untouchable. So if we're going to have this conversation, you are going to have to blow us out the water. And then it goes back.
That is the definition of blowing them out the water.
But then that's the difference, is this isn't like Real Madrid, Barcelona, or to be honest, any other club in the world or any other, league entity in the world where they can, blow us out the water. Saudi can. They can. And I think United know that too. So that's why it's a conversation, isn't it? Because if this was Real Madrid or Barcelona, we'd be worried about his head being turned because he can go win stuff and he could go to a big club. We'd be worried about that. But we know financially, they're never really going to give us what we're looking for. We'd be like, this is going to be complicated because United would want to sell, and I can't see it. But his head could be turned. This one, we're going, he's not going to really want to go Saudi Pro League, but that's a lot of money.
It brought me back, Owen, to the mix zone I was in remember when I was asking him a few questions.
Yeah, and he got an offer to leave.
About the offer. He got an offer to leave. So this is, and then when you're reading the reports, they're saying this has been since summer 24. So he was speaking about the same summer. This happened in the summer. We saw it, and we all went, Bayern Munich, whatever, just trying to drive the price up, just trying to get a new contract, this, that, and the other. It turns out Saudi have been trying to get him since then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he confirmed he got an offer now, whether that was from Bayern or whether it's from another club in Saudi, we don't really know. But some of the reports, especially now this news is kind of breaking now and intensifying, a lot of the news is saying, they've been after him for a while, since the summer. Even Chris Wheeler said that like Bruno and his representatives have had contact with these people. Like it's not a mate. This happened on the red carpet, and I promise you, I was like, stupid made up thing. No, I literally said, I don't even know why I'm talking about this. Can we move on? The chat was like, you said a bit now, but let's just move on. Not gonna happen. It's just silly, just hypotheticals, end of the season stuff. And within not even 24 hours, it's really real.
Yeah.
Like, it is. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. I'm not naive enough to think that. I'm not naive enough, especially, I know it's different context, but I've just been, barking at AGT and stuff to be like, don't get attached to these footballers. Like, don't just think, they love the club how you do. They love the club, I know it's different. Bruno's not homegrown or academy, anything like that. But I'm just saying in terms of like, nah, Bruno just loves us. Look what he does off the pitch, on the pitch. Takes the staff out for dinner. He does everything. He ain't leaving to go Saudi. I ain't naive enough to think that things can change when that type of money gets put down. And he wouldn't be a bad person for it.
No.
Lack of loyalty and all of this. It's fine.
It would be a weird situation because, and this is, to be fair, a couple of these Saudi moves have been a bit like this, haven't they? When some of these players moved to the Saudi Pro League and almost openly sort of say like, I don't really want to, but I can't really. I remember Ruben Neves. Ruben Neves is one of the, but he didn't.
He was straight up about it.
He's like, he didn't want to come really, but it's generational wealth of like my grandkids. So who am I to say no? Basically, what can I say? Like I remember the example was another one. This is before the Saudi Pro League stuff when Oscar went from Chelsea to the Chinese Pro League, and there was time where they were throwing money in. He was like one of the highest paid players in the world. And
who does Oscar play for now?
he's gone back to Brazil, I think. He literally left in like the last year. He was there for ages, Flex. But basically just getting like this ridiculous amount of money. And he was like 22 at the time when he was at Chelsea, and he moved to China. And then the most amazing thing was he then signed a contract extension, and like mere weeks or months before after he signed that contract extension, they changed the rules about how much money could be put in for foreign players and the foreign placing. But because he signed his contract, it was valid. So he stayed there for 5 years, being like, this is the best contract I am going to get for 5 years. so I'm taking it. And and as we always say, when it comes to different players' backgrounds as well and different reasons, they're like, look, I can take care of my family. You don't know where people have come from. You know what I mean? You don't know their story. And if they're like, look, I can literally, it's not just about me and my immediate family, it's wider family. Like I said, it's generational wealth. And you're like, it's really tough to say no to that. It's really, really tough to say no to that. And then obviously from a United perspective, when you think about players that could come in, that's really attractive too. But it's all in the hands of Bruno, what Bruno wants. And the only interesting thing I would think is if Al-Hilal, Saudi PF, whatever, did come in, let's say with 150 million, maybe even higher than that to United, I wonder what United's sort of stance would be towards Bruno. Do you think they would still, with respect, go, look, out of respect, we're just telling you that we have accepted this because how can we not? It's up to you. Or do you think this is when
just go, no.
Or do you think this is when he asked to go, look, Bruno, you've got to go because we've accepted.
We can't. Yeah,
please don't. Like, you know what I mean? I think when's the limit where they actually do start to push? Because do you think there'll be resentment there? Do you think? I mean, in chat to say this, do you think there'll be resentment if they go, look, Al-Hilal wanted to pay us, say 165 million pounds, we agreed it, and then he turned it down. Do you think there would be an element of, you son of a bitch?
I think from a business perspective, from bigwigs who sit behind desks, yes. But in terms of knowing that you keep your best players, and Ruben's made his feelings very clear on Bruno when he spoke in March about because I've told him already, he's not going around with you, just staying here, mate. Like, we got aspirations to win the Premier League and we need you. So and the players, and the fans, no, I don't think there'll be any animosity. There'll just be a little bit of, we could have got that money. But they won't be fuming he stays because he's too good. He's too good. If that was Anthony or, Garnacho maybe, but not Bruno. Not Bruno, nah. But it is interesting of what way round it will go. Bruno, let's have a chat. Because he said they did it last year. He goes, I had an offer, so we all sat down, and he's saying that at that point, whether it was in Europe or whether it was a Saudi offer, he's saying, I sat down with the club, we sat down, we spoke, and we worked out. I can't remember. I might have to listen back to that interview, actually, because it was good. Not in the context now. He was saying something along the lines of, I wanted to be here, they wanted me here, the club wanted me, and we wanted to continue together, or something like that, paraphrasing. So it'd be interesting to see if they, like a game of poker, right? They want to see who bluffs first. So it's like, right, we've got this offer. Wouldn't mind taking it. But let's go to Bruno and say, offer's coming. What do you think? Where are you at first? Because he could just go straight away, well, I want to talk to you about this. I'd probably like to take that. Or he might go, yeah, over my dead body, mate. I'm not leaving yet. I've still got more to do in Europe. And they go, right, okay, still got more to do with you. Yeah, okay. Sure, because we were going to look at it, but,
Well, someone said there in the chat, like, what do you think about playing World Cup? Cristiano Ronaldo, he's been playing in Saudi for like 3 years. He's going to.
He'll be playing. He's too good and too big not to. Players like that are untouchable. Like if they go Saudi,
he will not get dropped from the Portugal team in the same way. I said, like Ronaldo would be like, no problem, no concern. I do. Paul Merson says, I worry for him, Jeff. I do worry in the sense of if he does, if this money escalates as it looks like it could escalate. I worry just even now, like in the games we've got remaining this season, if Bruno dares have a bad game, you know what I mean?
The final, missed the penalty in the final, some shit.
You know what I mean? Or just
people, let's let him go, get the money.
Or next season,
just dropped.
If he turned it down like 150 million pounds or whatever, and See, this is
exactly what will happen.
I'm like, oh my god, you could just sort of see stuff happening. But I really, as I'm sitting here now,
yeah. What do you think? What's your gut? Honestly,
I'm edging towards he still probably stays, edging towards. But what I will say is, like I said, I do think the money can escalate here a lot, and a bit like how we say this game doesn't matter, and then when we're losing it, we get angry. I think it's very easy for us to say here, like, there's still a lot of noise. It's not going to happen. If that money does get put in front of you, and not necessarily in front of Bruno, but in front of United, I think this is the beginning of this. And in addition to that, what's it? Club World Cup's coming up soon. They want to make a big splash around that, don't they? With all this Trent stuff and the Real Madrid stuff and that. I want to get him in before that.
They're not going away. They're not going away unless, to be fair, obviously Bruno just outright says, please, thank you. I'm very, very honoured, but thank you, but no thanks. And also it's whether he thinks, what is he, 30 now? If he thinks, listen, because Bruno can go there in a couple of years, easy. He could do 2 more seasons. You know what I mean? 1 more season, if that, but easily play a couple more years in the Prem. He could do another 3 years in the Prem, in my opinion. But, he could say, I could look at this. It's not a no forever, but it's a no for now. Like I
get the lack of trust. I get the lack of trust because look, we've seen this in the past with teams. I remember the season when Spurs sold Gareth Bale to Real Madrid, and they brought in all of these players, and they were shit. You know what I mean? And they were like, we've just blown 100 million quid, and in 2013, that was like the equivalent, wasn't it? You know what I mean?
Or it can be the Liverpool Coutinho moment, like Ace
exactly.
Says, you go and get Van Dijk, you go and get the goalkeeper, Alisson. And all of a sudden, they're Premier League Hall of Famers because you bought well. You know what I mean?
To be honest, let's not even talk goalkeepers because watching that game last night, Flex, knowing that
we were in for summer before, remember? And we were like, nah.
Yeah. Remember the fact that Inter sold us Andre Onana for close to 50 million quid. Bought Jan Sommer in the space of like a couple of weeks for like 5 million quid. And
they got him on a free, didn't they? Onana. He's only there for a year, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Onana, that's where they got him on a free.
Yeah, on a free.
Fucking hell, man. I mean, this is what I'm saying about like why teams or why we have got a lot of, growing up to do. Yeah, remember, United fans didn't want Dumfries. Remember in that summer before we
don't want anyone. We don't want anyone.
We wanted a right wing back or right back or something. Yeah, sorry, Dumfries. No, it's scary. We got a lot of improving to do. A lot of improving to do. I just feel like we've got to buy better. Bruno, if I'm honest, my gut feeling is he stays. I think he will.
But for now,
Oh, yeah. I think it will be a polite listen. I'm not saying never. I'm definitely not saying never. But I still feel like I've got unfinished business here, especially if we win the Europa League. Let me get that super chats out actually, because one was talking about that. MTR says statistically, who the F replaces Bruno? Who do you even get to replace?
That's a worry too.
You can't replace him like for like with the numbers.
No, and you look at the numbers that he's obviously put down in the Premier League since he's come here. It's kind of unparalleled, isn't it? But then you get people going, well, you're making a mistake if you're going to try and replace him number for number because you can't do that. So maybe you're not replacing him statistically.
You build a different type of team,
but you're replacing him stylistically as opposed to statistically, maybe.
Exactly.
But it's difficult.
Seth Rollins says Nico Williams and Inaki Williams out of the game. Yes, we touched on that. Oh no, we haven't touched on that in here actually. No, we just did something else. I forgot. We haven't actually brought it up. We'll talk about Bilbao United in a minute as well. Andrew, latest member of the UV Members Club. Big up to you, Andrew. Thank you for joining, my bro. Bahir says, I don't think he goes if we win the Europa League. We will have enough money to buy 6 or 7 players anyways, especially if we sell Garnacho. Ineos would rather have 70 to 100 million by qualifying for Champions League year after year for the next 3 to 4 years. I do see what Beer's saying in terms of the Europa League. I think I can see why you're thinking if we win that, he definitely ain't going because it's like we're in the Champions League. It could be or should be the start of a high turnover of players, Amorim, etc., the real start of it. Because in this shit, if Amorim won something, his first trophy, the first time of asking, that would count for something and give a different perspective going into the summer. But I don't know. I'm not, like I said, I'm not naive to think like the way how for how in less than 24 hours, the information changed, new evidence presented itself quick. Yeah. I'm like, anything's fair dues. But my gut feeling is that he says it's not a now forever. It's not a no forever. It's a no for now. I want to do a year or two more.
Think about also as well. It kind of does. Though we're assuming here that we get to the Europa League final, but imagine it almost puts extra stakes on that final too, because it's like
100%.
If we win the Europa League, then we qualify for the Champions League, and obviously the pool of players we can go after is totally different, and we've got Champions League money and etc. 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 Things aren't that bad. But if we didn't win that game, that's when you're going like, if we don't win the game, maybe then we are forced to take him, because it's like, well, we've got to rebuild somehow. You've got to find the money somehow. And maybe that's what the Saudi PRF are banking on, going, because I think there was a story, this was a few months ago, sort of saying that clubs around Europe were looking at United because they'd had such a bad season, knowing the financial ramifications of that, are looking at it going, well, there's a bit of a sort of, there's a sale there for a lot of players because United are going to raise funds. And clubs do it all the time. Clubs do it, when a club's having a bad season in the Premier League, we would do it, go, oh, look at that team, they're struggling, let's take their best players off of them. Or that team in Italy, they're doing quite badly at the moment, let's take their best players because they'll need the money. So suddenly that Europa League final becomes even bigger, because it's not just about Champions League and money next season. It's also like, actually, that might be a key thing of keeping some of your best players as well. Because if you don't win that game, you might actually be forced to sell some of your best players, because if you're going to do this rebuild, you've got to find the money somewhere. So it just adds to what is already a massive game, massive game. And potentially, don't look too far ahead, but could be playing Spurs in the final, a team we haven't beaten this season, but also they're Spurs. They don't win trophies. They don't win finals. We're Manchester United. We do win trophies. We do win finals. It's a complete mud off, because it's like two of the worst teams in the Premier League this season. There'll be so much going into that game. It's mad. They're absolutely mad. Then you get the outside noise of the bitter bastards in the media. And they shouldn't be qualifying for the Champions League, given everyone else has been able to do it for like a decade plus. Like, there would just be so much on that game.
Massive. Which there already is before this Bruno thing. And one thing I have learned about talking about this Bruno thing, and I had to catch myself, because when I'm breaking down the timeline, which is a very short timeline, I went from obviously rubbish in the reports to, this time yesterday on Solo, I was basically saying I had up tabs of Musiala stats, Vert stats. That's what I was owing. It was nasty work. But it was, but to be fair, at the time, I stand by it, because it is true. It's like, he's up there, because when I was sort of defending him against the people who are just saying like, he's easily disposable. Like, no, you have to be if you do get that type of money, who are you going to get? I need to know. Like, is it like people are saying it's fine because the whole team benefits, because you get your goalkeeper, you get another attacker, you get Osimhen or a Gyökeres because you can afford a proper striker now, or that's fine. But like, I was just like, well, all the players that everybody says are amazing, I just picked those two. It's similar numbers, like his top numbers. He's got more than a few of them because he's been more available, shock, and played more games, shock. And his GA was higher than Musiala's by a little bit, but he's played like 15 more games, right? But what I was basically getting at was, we can't just be completely oblivious to the fact that if the money lands, like you say, who do they spend it on? How do you best replace him? You have to get a player like him. You have to go and get another creative player. But if you just got Shirky for 25 million instead of Bruno, what does that mean? And then the players that everyone likes, Florian Wirtz for that, or Musiala, how on earth are you going to convince them guys to come to this shit team as well? Do you know what I mean? From where they are, especially someone like Musiala just signed a new deal. So again, it's hypothetical. So what I learned was that. So I was doing that yesterday morning, but also what I've learned in this is that you can't be too connected just because one man's really good. Because if you're trying to rebuild a team with where Man United actually are and what we actually need to do, we always say one man can't be bigger than the team. And you can't be naive enough to just think it's as easy as it has to be one like-for-like player. If you sell Bruno for 130 million, what one player are you going to buy for 130 million that can do what he does? The answer is you probably can't. You can't. You're not going to, even if you had 130 million, you're probably not going to be able to go and get Jamal Musiala. You probably just don't want to come here. You know, Wirtz, you could probably get for that money, but looks like he might go City or where. You know, he's not going to join us. So it's like you have to unearth something. And that one said player, if you decide to be stupid enough to spend all 130 million pounds on that one player, those days are kind of gone, because we're saying we're also not that team anymore. We're not a team that goes and buys. We're trying to make, like Sadim Ratcliffe told us, and we also need to start doing, we need to start making the next. We need to find the next Bruno. So that could be Shirky in 3 years' time, 5 years' time. You know, when what's Shirky, like 22, 23, something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
You have to go and find the next young player who's up and coming as that.
21.
And then he's 21. So, you know, you nurture him growing for 3 years, and maybe he can be a mini Bruno. But also what we can't do is speak out of that side of the mouth going, well, you know, Bruno is very good, so who are you going to get for 120 million that's as good as him? It's not necessarily about that. If the money came in, they wouldn't just go and spend 120 million on one player. They wouldn't. That would be silly, because there isn't just one player you can get for that can just, and we need too much. Cole Palmer, again, do you try and go after Cole Palmer? Try and say, come back to Manchester. Come out. I mean, that would be difficult to do. You never know. Football's a funny game, but how much would he cost? That would be like for like. That would be, Chelsea would charge over 100 for him as well.
Well, I was trying to think of the best way to do this, because I'm gonna put a poll in the chat. I was gonna initially ask it as a question, but I think I'm gonna do it as a poll. Basically, how much would you accept for Bruno? Because the suggestion is, first of all, that they're willing to go above 150 million, which is the British record for Caicedo. But because some people are like, well, you know, even 115 is not enough. I want to have 150 plus, or some people, I want to have 200 plus. So I've got 4 options in there. I've got anything above 150 million, which is the British record. So it could be just a smidge above. 125 million plus, 150 million plus, or 200 plus. And again, legitimately. Don't just go, oh, look, obviously we're Man United fans, so I'll have 200 plus. Realistically, how much would you actually accept for him? Because I suppose we have to be somewhat realistic. Like, they're not going to give like 300 million quid or anything like that, are they? You know what I mean? But, you know, 200 is not unrealistic for the money that's they've got.
Weren't they trying to put 200 for Mbappe Neymar the first time, or was it Mbappe? Was it Mbappe?
Oh, the Neymar in the end they got for like 90. But people, again, this is when you have to be careful with transfers, because I did see someone say this earlier in the chat. They were like, Neymar went for 90. Bruno's definitely going to be for less. Well, the Neymar one's different, because they were effectively doing PSG a favor. PSG wanted Neymar gone, you know, at that point, right? So it was a little bit different. But yeah, get the votes in the chat about realistically what you'd be looking for.
And you do get into, I think people say about the age and stuff like that. There is one side of it saying he's 31, so you're not going to get this type of money ever again for a 31-year-old. But then there's the bit like what Yo-Yo's saying, which is crossing into Declan Rice and stuff, like where you go, and Jack Grealish at the time. I know they were a lot younger, but it's like that's what they're worth to the respective teams.
What's the value to United? What's the value to United?
The value to United with how impactful he is. I agree with Lil Yo-Yo. 150 million is like, you know what I mean? But if you agree with 150 million, you start getting into slim pickings. I mean, if they offer 125, it's basically the same thing, isn't it? Can't say no. You know what I mean? You can't.
But then, is it one of those ones where, like, again, Man United almost want to make a statement that they have driven a hard bargain? You know what I mean? Like, because we've always been, we're terrible at doing transfers, terrible at doing this. If Man United did sell Bruno Fernandes for 150 plus million, you'd be like, look, Man United, bloody hell, they get a good deal. They got a good deal.
Yeah, because it's about time we did that to someone, but it doesn't feel like exploiting, because the Saudis, they're not going to be short-changed by it. Like, it's like
no, exactly.
You didn't pull their pants down, but it's like,
or is it one of those ones where you're trying to make good connections? So let's say he does go for like, because either way, look, if it did happen, it'd be a massive deal, and there would be a lot. That's a very complicated deal. When it's money that amount, it does take a bit of a while to figure all of those different pieces out.
Yeah.
But if they did come together and got that deal done, then I suppose looking a few steps further forward, you could say, well, suddenly Man United have got really good relationships with the Saudi Pro League, and some of those other players in the future that they are looking to move on, suddenly that becomes a bit more viable. They're like, oh, actually, Man United, we do owe you. You work with us for the Bruno Fernandes one. Casemiro or some other player, Anthony. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. All right, then we'll go get that player that maybe was been a bit more difficult to move on in the past. We could help you out on that situation. And it's a bit like when Chelsea were selling a bunch of players to the Saudi Pro League, got them out of a bit of a hole. That one, man, that might be part of the conversation too. Of like, right, okay, let's work this out because in the future we might need each other again, kind of situation. It's interesting, the poll at the moment. The poll only been up for 3 minutes already, getting in over 200 votes. Leading the way is 150 million plus. That is seemingly what people have said they would want to accept for Bruno
150
Fernandes.
plus.
150 plus got 38%.
Yeah, because obviously, I mean, everyone wants that, isn't it? But I don't know. I think if you're willing to accept 150, the real truth of it is, I think you're probably open to 125, 130. You would be. You would.
Like we said,
the
analogy is we say we don't care about games, and when we're losing, we do care. And it's the same with this. It's the same with this. I turned down this amount of money, and then if we hear the news like Al-Hilal have offered 135 million pounds or 125 million pounds for Bruno Fernandes, there's no way that even for a split second it might be like, that's a lot of money. It's
true, because it's like I'm not letting him go for unless it's 150 or more. Here's 138.
Yeah, he'd be like, that's a lot of money.
All right.
Nah.
I mean, here's 129. Here's 129 million. You're not just gonna go, no, it's not 150. I'm not listening to you. You're not.
It's like selling a house, isn't it? We're putting our house on the market. It's 250,000. We'll give you 230. Go, pretty close, isn't it? That's pretty close.
Start looking around. Like,
yeah,
it's true. And we bought him for what? 50? Just below 50? Was it like 38? Actually, no. Was it
at this point, we did the show, didn't you? You did it with KG.
At this 100% point, profit now, isn't it?
It's 100% profit. He's been at United for so long.
Paid off.
Yeah.
So we're starting from that because we've given him 2 new contracts since he's been here, I think, innit?
Yeah.
Mate, you talk about sell-on value of players. He's going to command the biggest fee out of the whole team. There's no one else we can have that can, even Saudi, what would Saudi give for like Kobe or Garnacho, or who else is even sellable like that to command? That's it.
Well, when we're talking about Garnacho, we're talking about him going to Chelsea or Napoli for like 50 million quid, weren't we? This is nowhere near, is it? Nowhere near. And then the other part of it, like people are saying, they're going, well, just if you're going to look at it just on paper, like 125 million plus for a guy that's like 30, 31. If anything, you look at Saudi, go, that's a really stupid deal.
Yeah, exactly. But they know, like what we know, he's still in his prime. I said it yesterday. I was like, is Bruno, you have to weigh up these things. Is Bruno going to get better than he is now? No. Has Bruno reached his peak? Yes. But his peak, they say you're in your peak from like, 26-ish, 27, 28. His peak's just going to last long. Like, I think he's still going to be playing at this level in 2 years, quite comfortably.
Yeah, he's one of those players that I don't think, like some players, they do get to the wrong side of 30, then they drop off pretty fast. You don't really expect that.
Well, he doesn't rely on pace. He doesn't rely on like acceleration and power. Like, that's not really his thing. Like, he's not a powerful runner. He's not a massive ball carrier. Bruno relies on, his technique, his ability to find space, his brain, and his execution of passes, and finishing. Yeah. He's just a clever player, and he's super fit. I don't think that he can run for days. He's not the fastest player on the pitch, but he can run for days. And I think he has that trait, that, like I said, hella stamina though. I know you can say as you get older, the stamina can but I don't really think that is going to change.
Well, he's also started to do something that I didn't even think he was that capable of. Previously, I would have said, well, the worry with him would be is that he has to play so far forward to get the most out of him.
Yeah, that's true.
But this season, we've seen he's gone further back and he's still been contributing goals, still contributing assists, still putting in player of the match performances. So actually, I'd say he's probably extended his career this year because I'm like, actually, I didn't think he had that in him to be as disciplined of an 8 as we've seen him at points this season. So now, look, and at points, whilst he's playing in the 8, he's taking the ball off the centre backs. He's that deep. So actually, I think he has got that ability to play until late 30s at a really high level, going back. But money's money. You know, it's tough.
If it's 150
it's very, very tough.
There's no, you have to say yes. You have to. Yeah. You have to. With us, bro, we're cutting the flipping kitman down now again or something like that. I read the other day. More cuts, you know, the skim back the fruit and all of this stuff. Tickets have gone up. If you're telling us that, but you're not going to sell someone for 150 million, as much as it's Bruno, we don't want to see him leave. It doesn't make sense. We're potless, tried to find money to build the stadium, all this stuff. Like, we were going to run out of money by the end of this year. So what are you doing saying no to 150 million pounds for one guy? If it's as bad as you say it is.
It's interesting now because in terms of the poll, it's close. It's very, very close. According to the poll, 125 and anything above 115, that both on 14%. 150 million plus still leads the way 37%, but 200 million plus is on 35%. So the general consensus of people that's voting right now, but I did say this is, you know, don't just do it because you're like, oh, I want the most amount of money.
It's because they want the most amount of money.
But I don't think that. I think that 200 million plus is reflective of some people going, look, and I'm seeing it in the comments now. Some people going, look, like he's that important for us. That's what I'd be looking at. That's what.
Do you think if
he's invaluable to us?
Okay. Do you think if that question was phrased as, what would you accept for Bruno Fernandes? 120, 115, or nothing? Like, no, you must keep him. Do you think most people will go for no, you must keep him, or they'll be like, because that's the most out of that 150, 120s there, I'll take that one.
Okay, well, we'll rephrase that. Instead of the anything above 115, I'll change that one to nothing. He must stay. You know what I mean? He's priceless.
Yeah, but I'm saying 150 is not on the menu and all that. I'm saying if you did it where 150 wasn't there, 200 wasn't there, and the maximum there was like 130, 120. And 115, which is currently the record. If you gave
I put that high one more so because some people are going, no, look, 200 million, like that's the invaluable price to me. You know what I mean? Because when people say, oh, it's priceless, that's bullshit. Because everyone's got a price.
Everyone's got a price.
Everyone's got a price, but maybe that's what it would be. So. What's the best way of phrasing the question?
Josh, as an employee, would be like, I need them to sell, LOL.
How much would you sell Bruno for?
No, but now it's what you.
I'm gonna put in. You know, I would keep him.
Yeah,
I would keep him.
No, or keep no matter what.
Keep no matter what. Yeah.
Keep no matter what. And then put like 115, 125, and like
125. Because you're saying 200 million is the unrealistic one.
I'm saying people are just because that was the one most people voted for, isn't it? They're just voting for that because that's on the menu and it's like 200. Yeah, I think more people are voting for that than.
What we saying the highest then? The highest is maybe 150. That could legitimately close-ish. Or we say 145.
I don't even think I think it's like, if I'm honest, the record's at 115. If I'm being totally truthful.
Ash says there, look, keep him if it ain't 150 million.
So that's it.
So I think some are legitimately saying like 150.
Ash. Okay, so Ash, let me ask you this: if they offer, so you're saying keep him if it's not 150. If they offered you 136.5 million pounds, are you 100? Are you saying nope? It's not 150.
I'll put for the top one. I'll put in and around 150 million. Right? So you're happy with that? So sort of close-ish. So that encompasses your sort of 140s. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Because I just think it's really hard. If we start saying, like Ash said,
new one's up.
Unless it's 100, let's see how it does. Keep unless it's 150. So that means if they come in with 38.9 million, you're going to say no. And to me, that don't make sense.
That's what I've put in and around 150, because that might be a little like, you know.
Yeah, but now everyone's just going to choose that.
Well, actually, no, because already straight through the gate, we've got in and around 150 million and keep no matter what. They're the two leaders. In and around 150 million is 45%. Keep no matter what's 35. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
In
that
and
one.
around.
Speaking of, we'll
yeah,
see.
Yeah.
We've got we're less than 100 likes away from 500 likes. If you haven't already, click the like button. Yeah.
Just realised the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me get these supers having way too much fun. Let me get these super chats out before we sign out, guys. Ken Aldi says, "Why leave at the start of something new? Because he might be fed up and tired, bro. There's something new again. You know what I mean? Put the team on his back and plus the money." But I hear you. Aki says, "You trust Glinios to reinvest? Out of 10, how much?" Yeah. Right now they haven't got our trust, so that's below 5 right now, 100%. Jay Silver says Bruno won't go Saudi at this stage of his career. Don't know. My gut feeling is he won't, but we don't know. Sarklex says, would selling Bruno count as pure profit or not? We just discussed that. It would, because we've paid off his first contract that we gave him, his first transfer fee that we paid to Sporting in 2020, I think it was. Ashadu says, Cliver Eze Palmer, sometimes just take the opportunity. We are Man United and somehow broke. Many young ones will step up to this opportunity. 15th. Remember where we are. And Scrollian says, we won't get that money. Glazers will grab it. That's another thing. How much dividends goes to them from these type of sales. Bahir says, if I were Ineos, I wouldn't sell him for any money. Some things money can't buy. He loves United, always available, and he is the perfect role model for our young players. Saudi can come back in 5 years. Jeez, wouldn't sell him for anything. So 300 million, you wouldn't sell him. 250, wouldn't sell him. 200, wouldn't sell him. There you go. Anyway, guys, right, let's smash a like on the video on the way out. Remember, I'm going to jump over to FanFest right now, so I'll see you guys over there. You can get involved. Little Q&As. I'm going to be having an extension on this, maybe talking about the prices as well. I'll probably add that into the show. Join me over there. The link is pinned in the chat. It's very easy to sign up. You get the chance to win some amazing prizes as well, just by taking part in it, just by doing what you already do, which is follow your football team and engage. So yeah, I'm out of here, guys. We're out of here. Great show, good vibes, good energy, and we'll see you again later. Take care. Peace.